Don't you dare touch that dial. By request, man. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan83. You can always call in at 620-343-6143. That's 620-343-6143. Smooth, man. Notorious B.I.G. One More Chance. As requested by Jason Santangelo. He said, hey, man, do I get an intro? I said, what song you want? He said, Notorious B.I.G. One More Chance. I said, man, maybe I should really drop my Barry White on him. You know what I'm saying, Jason?
You know how to make a guy feel welcome.
I should just, hey, it's the love hour. Your man Drew Duncan holding it down.
Doesn't your guy Stephen A., doesn't he have a love hour on his show around new? I think I heard something like that the other day.
He does some, like, every now and again he'll sing or whatever, you know, and I'm just like, nah, bro, you got to use the gifts you were given. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. This is my gift right here. If anybody from My Town Media, the owners of this radio station, are listening, I could use another segment, maybe around midnight till 2 a.m. on a Friday or Saturday night. Close her down. That's what we could call it, the close her down night. Close her down hour, we shutting it down. It's that time for you to go home. Oh, man. Jason, welcome to the show. Big time honor to have you on the program, amigo.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Kind of funny. You sent me an email yesterday. We were talking about Demarius Randall,
yep.
And he went to Butler, my alma mater, and you were coaching him.
I did.
At that time. And you said, he's just a really good kid. What are some of the things that you love the most about Demarius Randall?
Well, Demarius comes from an athletic background.
Mm-hmm.
He had, I think, a few brothers that played professional baseball. His father was, I believe, a professional athlete as well. And Demarius came in as a freshman from Escambia High, Pensacola, out of Pensacola, Florida, and he came as a middle infielder, just one of the most athletic young men I've ever been around. Really, he faced some injuries and some hardship that freshman year. About February, he was mentally he was checked out. He wasn't performing how he wanted to perform. I'd almost call it a form of depression. He knew he wasn't living up to his capabilities, and he stepped away and said, "I'm gonna go back and play football." And our initial reaction was, "Oh man, we're at Butler Community College, who's winning national championships. You look at those guys compared to Demarius, and so,
right.
Man, I don't know if that's the best bet for you." And a short 4 or 5 years later, he's a first-round draft pick for the Green Bay Packers. So I think he kind of proved everybody wrong there and made a great choice going over to football.
Well, obviously. I mean, he's in the NFL now, and he's, but the thing is even with the millions that he's making, it still's not going to equate to having to buy everybody jerseys. We were talking about it before we got on air. By last count, which was yesterday at 5 o'clock, who knows what it's up to now. He was looking at $40 million, bro. $40 million.
Yeah, I know what we can see as far as Google of what his contracts are, and it's not $40 million. Now,
no.
I don't know what his endorsements look like, but he's got some to go. But one thing about Demarius, he's always been sure of himself, whether it was a silly bet or a barefoot race or a slam dunk contest. That young man is confident of Demarius Randall, and that's one of the reasons he's in the NFL right now.
Yeah, what do you think about, his move to Cleveland? I mean, because obviously they made a couple of big offseason moves this year. I mean, they went and got Tyrod Taylor, who wanted to go to Denver over the last few years, very vocal about it, was told no. He torches the Broncos last season. They added to the wide receiving core. They went out and got Jarvis Landry. I think they did very well in the draft. They might have a good team this year.
They're going to be different. They're going to win a ball game at least. But I think on Demarius' standpoint, he came in from Arizona State as a safety or strong safety, and they put him at cornerback. You don't see that very often.
Right.
And he did well. Faced a couple injuries. I think he kind of took a step back last season. But the rumor is he's going to be back in that safety role, which I think that builds up that confidence. Essentially, he's just playing center field, which when you talk about one of the most athletic men you've seen around, I mean, let him go out there, play center field, disrupt passes, hit guys when he needs to. I think the world's in his hands. Just go out there and have fun.
You were telling me that you are a known Yankees fan. Aaron Judge not going to be participating this year in the home run derby. Knocked it out of the ballpark, literally, during the home run derby last year. What do you think his mindset is behind not going into the home run derby?
Well, for the fans' sake, it stinks. I mean, that was an amazing feat what he was doing last year, unbelievable. But when you look at Aaron Judge and what he wants to do, he wants to win a world championship. When he came back from that All-Star break, I mean he was a swing and miss guy as it was, but it was tenfold. That second half of the season. So this might be a great change of pace for him. Allow him a few days of rest there. Come back and try to have a great second half of that season. See if the Yankees can't do it all. Now they got to get past the Red Sox, and they're no slouches either. But we'll see when that time comes.
The American League this year to me is a little soft. I mean, let's just be honest about it. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult for them to be put in a good position this year. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
I see it, but when you look at that East, when you look at the two-headed monster sitting there with the Red Sox and the Yankees, I mean,
Astros.
I mean, you got your Astros. I mean, you got a few teams that I feel like are just heads above the rest, and they're all going to have to beat someone at some time to walk away with the ring. So we'll see come October what happens.
You think Kansas City is going to be able to pull it together and figure out a way to at least get into the playoffs? I mean, their division is weak enough. Because last time I looked, Cleveland was leading the division with an exactly at a 500 record. It feels to me like it's not over yet, but it still doesn't look very good.
It's not over yet, and it's one of those things. Do you want me to speak with my head or my heart? My heart, I'd love to say that they're going to make this run and try to find a way to get into the postseason.
Right.
My head says, man, it could be a 100-loss season, and maybe the time is to come to get rid of some of those guys, get our money, get that acquisition money that we can, and look for the future. Now I'm going to know. Everyone knows I'm a Yankee fan now, and I'm speaking like this on the Royals, so I might have to lock myself in the house for a couple weeks. But, you saw the Royals pull out a 14-inning game last night. I mean, they continually play hard. They just don't have the depth in that rotation that you saw, during those 3 years where they're making world championship runs.
Well, and I think a big part of the problem for me, at least, is one of the worst teams when they've got two out and a guy in position for scoring. One of the worst teams this season in that regard. Right. The inability to capitalize in certain situations is exactly why we're there, and I think that we can be honest about that.
Right. Bob Fernelli. I've had the privilege to work with Bob Fernelli, the Emporia State baseball coach for years, and something that he preaches to his guys are two-out hits. Two-out hits win ball games, and timely hits with runners in scoring positions. And you can see that's kind of the MO of the Royals right now. They're leaving lots of runners on base, not many two-out hits, and especially when you got runners in scoring position, they're flipping their helmets to the coach after a third out, man, instead of taking it off in the dugout. So that's a difference between 20, 25, 30 wins and losses throughout a year.
Talking to Jason Santangelo of Emporia State University Athletics. He is the ADO out there. You played baseball. Jason, what position did you play?
I was a middle infielder. I played at Butler Community College for a couple of years, and I played for Bob Fernelli out at Fort Hays in the late 90s, early 2000s. So that was, you think about it, that's 18, 20 years ago. It's amazing where time goes. You
were talking to me about Ghetto Superstar when I had Throwback Thursday on, and you were like, dude, I was in college at that time. But you don't look like you're that old, man. Yeah. You're in a lot better shape than I am, anyway.
If you stay around collegiate athletics, those athletes, they keep you young. And I coached for years, and now I'm fortunate enough to work in the development role. But really, I get to be around 18 to 22-year-olds, for 8 hours a day. I mean, hearing their stories and seeing their energy, it does nothing but feed off you. That's why I love what I do. Love this place, love this community, love the Emporia State University.
One of the things that I've loved the most being around athletes is I feel like at some capacity they always keep you grounded. Because, a lot of people that they meet are in people that are already positions of, I've been here for a while, I've had it together for a while, I'm embedded in my career now, and there's still a lot of them on the come up to hear the struggles and the stories, as you made mention. Would that be something that you would agree to, that's definitely one of your favorite facets of what it is that you do?
Absolutely. If you look back in the longevity of a life, so I'm almost 40 years old, and I think about some of the headaches as a kid, just little things, or even after you graduate college, making sure ends meet, having kids and a wife and a mortgage and, debt. You think
uncertainty of the future.
You think back on the happiest times of your life, and a lot of times it's that 4 to 5 to 6 years 7 if you're like me, that you're in college. That you're in college. That's the special time of your life. And working at a university, and from President Garrett to Shane Shively to Kent Weiser to everybody in between, and then those student athletes. I mean, it is just a fantastic opportunity of employment for myself, and we are just so fortunate, to be here and have people believe in us, and we turn around and we believe in everybody in their roles. And again, it makes everything that we do at the university worth it to have student athletes and just students in general, that we're working for.
Talking to Jason Santangelo. A lot of good stuff so far coming from Jason. Really quick before we get to some other things, if I may here, I think you heard me talking a little bit about prefacing the Alabama Crimson Tide rule. Basically, they're calling it the Nick Saban rule with the headphones, that he had like 30 to 45 guys on, headsets, and they were all communicating with each other. And they feel that maybe now it may have given Alabama an unfair advantage. You and I both played athletics. I think we'll both agree to the fact that that's pretty much nonsense.
It is. You made the point that, winners are easy targets. I mean, you go from, Tom Brady to Belichick to Saban. You can go down the line. Winners are easy targets. LeBron James. People hate on LeBron James. What he's doing right now is absolutely unbelievable. We'll see. Take the headsets away from him. I'm going to probably guess that Nick Saban's going to be in Alabama's going to be in the Final Four again.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like
we'll see though. Maybe they know something we don't know. We'll find out.
Well, and they've minimized it down to 20, and I'm just kind of like, okay, that still gives 19 other people with headsets on. That just means it's going to make some people a little bit more important. Maybe that's all in Nick Saban's camp.
Yeah. I don't know. People get paid for a reason. That's not my choice to make that. So.
Yeah, right. Speaking of getting paid. And I want to ask you this, and I want to be clear that whatever you answer, and I'm going to let everybody know that this does not reflect necessarily the opinions of Emporia State University. There's been a lot of talk. I've been advocating this for about 5 years now. With Condoleezza Rice and her comments, it's really come back to the forefront. Do you think that those college athletes should get paid for their time as university athletes?
Well, I've played this game back and forth in my own head. One of me tells me that a scholarship is a form of payment. Another one, being an ex-athlete, I know there was sure times it would have been nice to have a little bit of change in my pocket, to take someone out to dinner, or to go feed myself or do a little extracurricular things. But where it draws the line for me is where does that line stop? Is there a minimum wage? Can someone say this is the max we can pay? What separates University of Kansas from Emporia State University? Because every then player that we're recruiting against and offering a different scholarship, they say, hey, we can pay you. Well, Emporia State can't. Or along just Division I to Division I lines. There's so many underwritten things that would have to go through there to ever make that feasible. At the end of the day, the NCAA makes a lot of money off 18 to 22-year-olds. But again, I'm a little guy that's a development officer for athletics at Emporia State University. There's bigger fish out there. They're a heck of a lot smarter than I am when it comes to that stuff.
And speaking of which, you and I, part of the primary reason why we're here is because we had Don Wiest on the program a couple of days ago, and one of the things he talked about was ESU and the give me the word. The auction.
The auction golf tournament?
The auction that they were having. And then, of course, the little golf tournament that they had the day after that you and I got to see each other again for that. So how did ESU do during the auction?
It was absolutely amazing. We have a committee of 10 that work tirelessly with Brett McLaughlin, who's our Director of Athletic Marketing, Sarah Eimer, who's one of our events coordinator at the foundation, and myself, and then our 10 committee members that work tirelessly on putting on this event. White Auditorium is where it takes place. We had just over 300 in attendance, and the final number after the 2-day celebration was just over $95,000. I mean, that's from our alumni, fans, family, the community comes out and supports the university and the athletics, and it's I call it a celebration, but it is a beautiful thing just to see that support. For us to be able to thank everybody, and on that stage when I do say thank you to everybody, you can't you can't hit it enough of what it means, the support for the community, what it means to the athletes. And then the athletes, give back to the community as well. We were in the top 10 Division II in the nation of community service hours through our athletics in general. And that number is just wanting to increase. We have to give back in order to receive and vice versa. So this partnership, and it is just really Emporia State University, it says it in the name, we are Emporia, and Emporia is us. We are one and the same, and it's a common goal just to succeed and promote this city and this university.
One of the things that Don was talking about was in terms of spending in the MIAA, you're 13th out of 14
Yeah.
teams. How do you guys keep everything going? Obviously, this is a big part of what you do. But what are some of the other things that in terms of community-wise that people do around here that keep Emporia State going, even when it looks really bleak for you all?
Well, first and foremost, we have some of the most amazing coaches there are on the planet.
Agreed.
I mean, for these coaches to come in, make the money they do, work the hours they do, face the hardships they do, and the retention that we have with those coaches at Emporia State is unbelievable. Then they go out and they recruit the right athletes. It's not always the athlete that's looking for, the full ride. We have to break some of those up. I mean, some of them are getting here on, books. Here you're getting $500 or $600 and they're coming to Emporia State University where they know they can get a great education and have a chance to put a ring on their finger when the season's over. So I don't have the tell answer for it, but I know, Kent Weiser, has a knack for hiring the right guys. And then those right guys, he stays out of their way and lets them be them, lets them coach the way they need to coach, lets them discipline how they need to discipline, lets them offer out scholarships where they deem need. And then, it's us to work into the community and find ways to increase those funds, help them out some. But, we have the saying of, we do more with less, but that doesn't mean we're not going to go out there and try to find a way to get more. We're blue collar. We're not a white collar university. We're a blue collar. We're going to go out there and find a way to take what's ours. And, they can come onto our turf and they're going to leave here, win or lose or draw, and know that they just played the Hornets.
Especially coming up in football this year. I think that this could be the season. I mean, you look at 9 returning starters defensively, 8 offensively, including Braxton Marstall in his 5th year. How do you think Emporia State's going to be looking for football coming up this season?
Oh, I think they look strong. Braxton was a preseason offensive player of the year last year. We had a little, just unlucky bounces, I think, throughout the year. But he's come back. I saw him at the auction golf tournament. We had a chance to talk a little bit. He's gung-ho and he's focused right now. I mean, this summer's going to be a long summer for him. He's going to be looking forward to, I think, around August 11th when they start getting after it again. I know Coach Higgins in the group has signed some good guys coming in. They have a few coming in that they think can make an impact. And then with our 9 returners, they've seen it. They've tasted the MIAA. They've tasted some success, and they've tasted a little bit of failure, and I guarantee they want to spit that failure out. That sweet taste of success is a lot better than, walking on the field with your head down. So I'm excited for it.
It's always a little sweeter when you win. Still kind of savor that for as long as you can. Jason, as I do with all of my guests, I'm going to give you the opportunity to say whatever it is that's on your mind. No right or wrong answer here, man.
Well, really, my reason for coming in here was, to meet you and promote Emporia State. Really, I want to just thank our community, everybody who helped out, and really drop some names on our athletic auction committee. They don't get enough praise for that. But Gary Ziegler, Mike Howell, Jerry McCullough, Rick Tidwell, Karen Brown-Gentz, Aaron Harder, Lisa Robke, Mackenzie Sinelli, Marcus Urkel, Kathy Kessler, Linda Metcalf, and 2 of the biggest ones, again, Sarah Eimer and Brett McLaughlin, both employed there at Emporia State University. This could not have been done without you guys, but I guarantee all those people are telling me not to name drop and just to thank everybody else for attending and doing what they do and supporting Emporia State University. But we really can't thank you guys enough for everything you do. Look forward to seeing everybody come fall for football season. Football, volleyball, soccer will be kicking it off. We'll be into a basketball season shortly after that with 2 new head coaches that are going to revamp some things. And then before you know it, we're back into our spring sports, our track and softball and baseball. And then we'll be having an auction again. So,
man,
you know how the years go by.
Yeah, and the kids that were in here earlier today, I told them to enjoy their summers now while you got them, because it seems like the older you get, the quicker it goes by, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt. My wife said something the other day. She goes, there's some of these days and weeks that seem to last forever, and then in a blink of an eye, a month and a year goes by.
Man.
And I don't know if it's when we had kids or what happened, But it does. It moves in a hurry, so enjoy it.
I know that's right. Man, Jason, I want to tell you, it was a real pleasure speaking with you today.
Yep, I appreciate it, Drew. Anytime.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, you just heard him, Jason Santangelo of Emporia State University. He is the ADO. Great takes all the way around. And a little smooth, notorious B.I.G. for him as he exits as well. This is the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you call in at 620-343-6143. We'll be back right after this. Don't you dare touch that dial.
Thank you, Drew.
No problem, man.